Happy New Year, everyone. It is Wednesday, the 5th of January 2022, a 6th year in numerology, for those of you that follow numerology. We're going to do something a little bit different today, pretty much like we did on the 1st of January last year. We're going to do a creative visualization practice with a little bit of writing. So make sure you have a notepad, a notebook, a journal, a piece of paper and a pen. And what we're going to do is we're just going to, I'll do a little introduction about what our session today is going to include. But then what I'd like to do is go into a very quick meditation together. And then I want to guide you into a visualization practice. So for the first part of this practice, I want to look at the past year, how this past year has been for you and what you've noticed you've achieved your successes, any results, something that you're proud of. And then we're going to step into a visualization practice that you're standing here on the 31st of December 2022 and imagining that you have created things that you have truly, truly wanted to create. So we're going to play a bit in this. There's no rights, there's no wrongs. Most of all, this is about being really free and allowing yourself to be creative, wild, and free with this exercise, and not trying to control it, or just allowing it just to come up and having fun with it, much like children do. So obviously at the beginning of the year, it's really nice to sort of do a review, to take stock, and lots of people do resolutions. And as you all know, resolutions don't tend to stick. We start off with a bit of a hoot and then we sort of run out of steam. And so whilst I don't really get into resolutions from a sort of a creative orientation, I really like doing a review, and it's quite nice doing this together, but also thinking forward about the things we want to create that are really meaningful and have value. So rather than a desire, which is perhaps it could be an egoic desire, it's something that's really in alignment with your values, something that's connected to your heart, something that's really meaningful and true for you. So women are really bad at acknowledging their successes, more so than men. It may be no surprise. We tend just to get on with stuff and we rock and roll. And this is actually a good practice for us to take stock and go, you know, what did I create in this last year? What worked really, really well for me? So we're going to do that first. So what I'll do is I'll lead you into a small guided practice where we can just create a bit of calmness and stillness, because what that does is it fires up our imagination and just gives everything a bit of space. So we'll do that first, and then I'll guide you through the next two practices. So if you just stay with me and just see how you go, there's no right, there's no wrong. If you get lost, just come to your breath and breathe, and then rejoin the practice. So let's begin. You could stay seated if you're seated, or you can lie down. This is just a few minutes of a meditation practice. Make sure you have your notepad or your journal and your pen beside you. So if you're seated, just bringing a lovely length to your spine and sensing your feet on the floor. So if they're crossed, uncross them. Placing your hands on your lap. If you're lying down, just placing your arms beside you. And you can close your eyes or lower your gaze, whatever's comfortable. And let's begin by just bringing awareness to the breath, breathing in, breathing out. So turning your attention towards the breath in the body and just allowing everything else to fade out into the background. So letting your day go. Letting your thoughts float away. Letting everything you have to do after this session, letting that float away into the distance, and just turning your attention to the breath in the body. So we begin to sense the breath rather than thinking about the breath. So you may sense the breath in the abdomen, noticing how the belly expands on the inhale and how the belly is released on the exhale. And if your mind wanders into thoughts, which it's going to do because we think something we do, so just noticing where the mind has traveled to. And then just bringing your attention back to resting on the breath and taking another inhale. And you begin this practice again, sensing the breath as you inhale. And sensing the breath as you exhale. And just imagining with every exhale that you're sinking further down into the body, as if every cell in the body begins to soften. Breathing in, and on the exhale, imagining that you're sinking further down into the body. If you're seated, having a sense of your feet connected to the floor, your buttocks on the chair, any part of the body that is in contact with the floor or the chair. So you're sinking down into the body, and then the body is sinking down into whatever is being supported. So whether it's the floor or the chair. So in this first practice, we're just going to allow our imagination to be open and free. There's no right answer, there's no wrong answer. They're just whatever bubbles up. So I want you to look over the past year, all the while breathing, as if you're reflecting on the last year, 2021. And just noticing in this year any highlights, anything that you are particularly proud of. What is there in this year that you can acknowledge, whether it's about yourself personally, as in more of the person that you've become, whether it's something that you have achieved as a person, something that you have accomplished. So just taking a moment just to reflect, to look over the last year. And whilst our world has been challenging for so many people, there are nuggets of gold in this year. Things that you can be proud of, things that you can congratulate yourself on. So in this exercise, we're letting our mind wander consciously. Noticing how when something arises that you consider, that the mind tries to deflect it or disregard it. So if anything pops up, sitting with whatever pops up rather than dismissing it. It's amazing how much we critique all the time. So I like to use my imagination as if I'm sort of looking back over a timeline of 2021. So for me, that visualization helps. So now what I'd like you to do is to as you're holding this space of reflection of the last year and acknowledging what you've done, who you've become, what you are proud of. I'd like you to pick up your notepad or your piece of paper and your pen. And just holding that space, I would like you just to start writing anything that's come to your mind, anything that you are proud of, happy with, excited about. And I'm going to give you 3 minutes. And again, there is no judgment in this, and first and foremost by yourself. So I'd love you to pick up your pen and paper. And we're going to time this bit of writing for 3 minutes, starting now. So I'm going to write with you. So just taking a few more seconds just to complete. So you may have noticed in that practice that as you begin to start writing, that more and more things come up that you hadn't noticed in that short visualization practice we did together. So what I'd like you to do now is just reread that little bit of writing you've done and just highlight the bits that you're really proud of, that you may have a highlighter or just you can underline it. Just so that it stands out on the page for you, or you might want to write underneath it and just write one word that signifies that sentence that you've written. So these are the things that you're really proud of, that you've achieved, that you really want to acknowledge about yourself. And it's not just things that you do, it's also a state of being. So I'm going to do another 3, we'll do 2 minutes just to review that little bit of writing so that you can highlight the bits that stand out, so that you can really kind of acknowledge it and hold on to it, starting now. So for 2 minutes. Okay, so just completing. Well, if I can stop the timer, there we go. So as I said before, women especially don't acknowledge the things that we have succeeded in. And I used to work with a really good coach, and he worked with a lot of business women, and he used to say the same thing. So I think this is a really important exercise to look back at what we've done, what we've created. Now, in the second exercise, we're going to imagine that we are in December 2022, and we're going to look back over the year and imagine everything that we have created. So I will guide you through this practice. You can just place your journal and pen just beside you. And just coming back to, if you're seated or lying down, so just coming back to that space, closing your eyes. I find that is more helpful, but you can lower your gaze. Sensing your feet on the floor. and turning your attention towards the breath. Sensing the breath in the body as you breathe in and as you breathe out. So in this practice, we're just going to connect to the heart. And the heart has the largest electromagnetic field of the body. It's not just an organ that pumps blood around the body. So in Qigong, I've got to try and stop this. In Qigong, what they do is, or Tai Chi, they imagine that they're bringing up energy from the earth or from above, and they imagine that they fill, or the guidance is filling your heart, this organ, with love. So I like to do it from the earth. So we're using our imagination to imagine that we're breathing in love from Mother Earth. And we're bringing that through the soles of our feet and into our heart. And then we breathe in again from Mother Earth through the soles of our feet. And imagining that our heart is expanding with love. And even if you can't imagine the sensation of love, just set the intention that you're bringing love up from the earth through the soles of your feet, through your body, and into the heart. And now, as that heart of yours begins to fill with love, I want you to imagine that that love from the heart is spilling out through every organ, every blood vessel, every muscle, every tendon, everything from the crown of your head to the sole of your feet, that the heart is overflowing with this love. So it's filling every part of your being. So you become almost a vessel of love, because what we want to create is based on love, what we love. And now, stepping into your imagination where you're wild, creative, and free. And imagining now that it's December 2022. And you've had the most amazing year of your life. You are so incredibly proud of everything that you have accomplished, everything that you have done. It's been your best year yet. Regardless of what's happening around the external, you feel like the happiest you've ever been. You feel so light, so joyful, so excited, so positive, so on top of the world. Maybe you've challenged yourself and you've pushed yourself. So just as you're listening to me, just keeping your eyes closed so that you can really step into this energy of positivity and the highest vibration that there is, this high frequency where there is so much goodness, so much to be grateful for. So it doesn't have to be anything huge. Maybe you're standing in 2022 December and you have changed career, or your business has improved, or you're helping more people and you're acknowledging that. Maybe you have done something in your home, you've remodeled, you've changed things around, perhaps you've even moved. And you're really, really happy and excited with what you've achieved. Perhaps you've deepened your spiritual practice. You've learned more about who you are. You've healed some of those shadow aspects of yourself that needed healing and nurturing. Perhaps you know yourself a lot better than you did at the beginning of the year. Perhaps you're more awake than ever. Maybe you're more visible in the world. Perhaps you're more bold, courageous. Maybe your health has improved. You feel really great with your fitness. You're eating foods that really nourish you and are important to you. So using your imagination, just allow yourself to be free of the things that you've created in December 2022. So we're fast forwarding. And these are the things that you really value, that are heartfelt. Because whatever we create, it's really important that they are in alignment with our values. Otherwise, there's conflict. So what's important for you to have created by the end of 2022, or even be on the way to creating? So sometimes things take time to unfold. But you're feeling the results of your efforts. So you're bathing in this essence of 2022, December 2022, of the best year that you've ever had. And so now what I'd like you to do is just to pick up your pen and paper. And we're going to spend 5 minutes because 3 minutes goes so fast. And I'd like you now, just holding that essence of this having been your best year ever, that you are so proud of who you are and what you've created, that you are ecstatic, really positive, really happy. And I want you to start writing. What is important to you to create? What's deep in your heart? What do you most want for yourself? As though, and from the aspect of that you've already created it. So let's start writing now. From the aspect of it's December 2022. So just stopping your practice now. So you may have written in like sentences, or you may just have taken notes, whatever is fine. So now that you have written that piece as though you were standing in December 2022, looking at everything you've created, just in the first exercise, I'd like you to go through now and start highlighting some of the things that have jumped out to you that are heartfelt and that you value, that you want to create, that they're important. And it doesn't have to be big, doesn't have to be monumental. It can be whether it's just who you are as a person or some action that you've taken. So now we're just going to spend 2 minutes just going over your list and pulling out those little bits of nuggets, those nuggets of gold, that so they can become a bit more clearer to you about what you want to give your focus to this year. So let's do this for 2 minutes. Okay, just stopping that practice. And you may have noticed as you start highlighting and sort of bringing out those nuggets that actually more comes up as you start writing those bullet points and those little bits of pieces, or you've highlighted that, oh, there's something else there that I want to create. So this is just a great starting point for you to I guess, have structure around something you want to create. And what often happens is that we do this and then we kind of forget about it. So my challenge to you is to grab a really beautiful bit of paper, and it could be a little bit of cardboard or a big piece of cardboard, but something that's a bit stable. And you can paint, you can put pictures on it, you can write, but it's really helpful to start sort of pulling apart these things that you've imagined you've created. So these things that are really important to you, and putting them on this sheet of paper where you get to view it every day. Because there's something about repetition, and when we see something and we read it, and we sense the energy of it, because that's an important component, because the energy of something, how it makes it feels, helps it to embed in our subconscious. So seeing it every day in your workspace or in your bathroom or bedroom or your office, wherever, is a really important part of enabling this to really sink into your subconscious. And it's quite amazing what can happen just by seeing it constantly every day. So one last exercise, and we'll just finish, and then we'll finish up, is just taking one thing from your list that you want to create. So just one thing, just choosing it, just whatever jumps out at you. And just look at that thing and just decide what an obvious next step is towards creating that. So perhaps if it's health and fitness, which often the year we want to cut back on alcohol or do a bit of a detox or eat healthily, what is one obvious thing? First of all, sorry, let me start from imagining that you have the end result of what you want to create. So maybe you're feeling healthy, you feel more vital and alive because you have energy. Perhaps you've lost a little bit of weight. So it's sensing into that, the outcome of having achieved that. And then just imagine looking over your shoulder, what was that first step you took from where you are today? So you're holding those two elements. You're holding the end result that you've created it. And then you're holding your current reality where you are today. And just noticing what that first step was that you took towards actioning that end result. This is something that you can do in your own time with a bit more time. It's quite a big topic in itself, but it gives you a sense and a flavor of something that you can do beyond this little circle of us working together, that you can take this and bring it to life and spend more time on it. So let's just do a quick 2-minute practice just to complete the circle together. So just closing your eyes and connecting once more with the breath in the body. Feeling your feet on the floor. As you sense the breath as you breathe in and as you breathe out. And just taking a moment to remember how magical you are as a person, that anything you want to create, you can create regardless of your conditions or your background, your current circumstance, that anything is possible. That you have the ability to create what lies deep in your heart, what you truly value. Because when you're out there in the world, being true to who you are, being in alignment with your values, doing this inner work, that creates a ripple out into the wider world, and everyone is affected by your ripple of light. And gently, in your own time, just releasing this practice and opening your eyes. So let me just take you off recording here.